My name is Sima Apollo, and this evening we talk and we speak social protection. As the national budget for the financial year 2023-2024 takes shape in Parliament, key sectors of the economy are really not comfortable with a new policy from government to cut their budgets. And one of those sectors is one that feeds a social protection program for the elderly. And I am talking about the social assistance grants for empowerment, SAGE, through which at least 25,000 Ugandan shillings is advanced to the elderly in communities. And it has been running for several years. Many people have testified that this fund that looks to be small has been of great importance, especially in a vulnerable society that we have in Uganda. But with these budget cuts, things may turn from bad to worse. And we need to look into issue and possibly seek solutions on what can be done. And to do that, I've been joined by Gloria Nakajubi. And Gloria is the Advocacy Manager at the Uganda Parliamentary Forum for Social Protection, one of those forums that push for inclusion, and social protection is also part of their mandate. Welcome to the program this evening.
Thank you very much, Apollo. I'm very glad to be here.
Good. Let's go straight to what it means. When this policy is introduced, what could be the consequences?
Thank you very much, Apollo. You know, when we are talking about, usually when talking about the budget, I think the key issue that usually comes out is how does it affect me as Gloria, you as Apollo? Why should I care about the budget? And for us as the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection, when the Parliament is reviewing this budget, what we usually look at is to see what are those interventions that target the vulnerable in our communities, because social protection is really about that, ensuring that the vulnerable people are not pushed deeper into poverty, or they are also protected from falling into poverty. So when you look at the budget, one of the things that need to come out for us, for a person who has a keen interest in social protection, is to see what are the allocations, where is the money going, or the money that directly affects the people. Do we have that money in the budget? So for the budget, a 47 trillion budget, and looking, because they usually say the devil is in the detail. So when you look at this budget, you realize that social protection interventions are grossly underfunded. The funding that goes to these interventions has been cut. And like you already highlighted, by a policy by government, Minister of Finance that has come up with to say that for all subventions, we are cutting subventions by 80%. What that means is, and for most of the social protection interventions, their money comes under subventions. So like you say, the senior citizens grant under the social assistance grants for empowerment has been cut. So you only have 24 billion shillings out of the 121 that is required for the financial year. I mean, these people receive 25,000 shillings a month. I mean, for you and me, this might seem very little money, but for someone, for an older person, remember they target 80 years and above. Yeah. For an older person, this means a lot. And of course, impact assessment reports have actually shown, the recent report by the Auditor General, 2022, it actually shows that, of course, it does validate the previous results that we've seen, that a lot of this money older persons use it to buy food.
Okay.
They use it to support their grandchildren.
The elderly?
Yes, their grandchildren to access schools. I mean, there's you having schools, but are kids able to access them? Do they have the scholastic materials? So the report actually shows that a lot of that money has been going towards that. So now you're telling us that in this particular, in the coming financial year, we do not have that money. It has huge implications, not just for the individual older person that receives this money, but for their household, because these people are household heads. They head households. So you are impacting on the food that household can access, you're impacting on the kids going back to school. The term is starting. And then you're also impacting that, because we also realize that this money, I mean, when you give someone money, it's not that they're going to eat the money, no. They're going to use that money to go and buy things in a way they're supporting the small businesses in their communities, and that basically is boosting the economy as well. So you're literally frustrating not just one individual older person, but the entire community, the entire economy. So it has very huge implications.
What could possibly go wrong? Let's talk about this grandpa or grandma of mine, who is 85 years of age, and she knocks at the door of a certain office in a single district, and they tell her that there is no money.
Yeah, the sage money is...
What could possibly go wrong?
And you know, I think government need to appreciate that you have made a commitment. You've told these people that every month we are going to be giving you 25,000 shillings. What does that mean? This person probably has already borrowed off that money. Has gone to the nearest shop and borrowed things, saying, okay, my money from government is coming. And they're counting on that for so many things. Most of them use that to till their land, to grow. And of course, statistics tell us that there are about 3.5 million Ugandans who are living in food poverty. What does that mean? Basically, the people that cannot access food because probably they cannot till their land, and that will include, and for older persons or people, vulnerable groups, such kinds of statistics are always like real for them. You're hearing 3.5 million Ugandans, but for most of the vulnerable groups, children, older persons, this is not statistic. This is the life that they live. So if you have this intervention that you're scrapping off, you have to realize that it has economy-wide implications. So you have about 300,000 older persons that you've been supporting on this program. And so that basically means, and that is across the country in all the districts.
Now, as it has been proposed, that the allocation will be slashed from 121 billion to only 24 billion. Does that mean that possibly this 25,000 will go down possibly to either 10,000 or what? What does that mean?
You know that the challenge that government is going to face is, so you have provided 24 billion shillings.
Instead of 121.
Yes. The program that runs, the unit that runs this program, it is called the Expanding Social Protection Program, has an annual budget of 13 billion shillings. So remove that from your 24 that you've provided. So this program already has shortfalls, arrears, which have been running
around 5 billion?
5.1 billion shillings. So remove that from this 24 that you provided. And then you also have, so the remaining, if you do quick math, you're going to be...
So literally there is only like 4 or 5 billion
very
left.
little money that is actually left for you to... So do you say, okay, now, I'm going to give just a few, but we're talking about inclusion here. You can't just give... The reason as to why this program was rolled out nationwide or countrywide was because they wanted to weed out the whole issue of exclusions, because we realized that you cannot be giving money to about a few districts. How about the rest? They're all Ugandans, they're all vulnerable. That's why we got into the rollout. So if you're going to say we just have a few or just a little amount of money to give out and we're going to leave out, then it beats the whole idea.
So the 24 billion is literally nothing.
It is. So I think maybe to not sound extreme, government is actually saying we are scrapping this program.
Oh, yeah.
That is what they are technically saying. So if you give me 24 billion and I need 121, what are you telling me? That we are scrapping the program. But as honorable members have been highlighting, that this technically means you sending older persons to their grave quite early before their time. Yeah, because you've raised the expectations, and I think one of the most important things that people live on is hope.
Yeah, true.
So if you're going to take that away from them, you're literally pushing them into an early grave.
So there have been agitations to lower the eligibility age,
yes,
from possibly 80 to 75. So all those agitations and aspirations have been blown up anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, you're always in Parliament, and you know, the last Parliament, when they were passing the last budget, the Budget Committee recommended that the age of eligibility should be brought down to 75, and the value of the fund, of the grant, increased to 30 years. Sorry, 30,000 shillings. So that has not happened in this current financial year. It should have happened this current. But that also begs the question of how Parliament resolutions are eventually implemented by the different MDAs. So Parliament resolved that that should happen, but that has not happened. And here we are in this next financial year. They're telling you, okay, even the one that you've been looking at, it's not there.
Has been removed instead.
It has been removed. So it's very challenging, and I think really members just have to rise up, because these are their constituents. These are people, and they've actually been saying that many of us used the senior citizens grant. We made commitments in our communities. We told these older persons that, you know, we are going to Parliament, but we're going to make sure that your money comes in time. We're going to make sure that the grant value is increased. We're going to make sure that, I mean, the age is lowered. So how do they go back? Actually, one of them stated it quite clearly. It's like, I think government just doesn't want us to come back in 2026.
Yeah, true.
They don't want us to come, because how do we go back and explain this situation?
The big questions will be directed to the members of Parliament.
Exactly. Exactly.
Who interact with these people on possibly daily basis, and you wonder how...
It's a very tricky situation for them. That's why, as a forum, we actually calling out all members. We have about 150 MPs that subscribe to the forum. So we've asked them to ensure that this budget is not passed in its current form.
Okay.
They should ensure that the money for SAGE is reinstated in the budget, and also, of course, to highlight the other social protection issues. The money that goes to the persons with disabilities, the special grant for persons with disabilities, that has also been cut. The money that goes to rehabilitation centers, these are areas that have children that are already vulnerable, that have people that are already, but you've cut food, money that goes to food and non-food items to those areas. I mean, what expect these people to eat? So basically, you've put them in rehabilitation centers to die if they do not have food.
It's unfortunate. And what could be, or what should be the way forward? Because now the budget process is still ongoing.
Yes.
And what can we do now?
Of course, right now is what we need to do is to keep our voices up to indicate that actually we need this money. The money that goes towards social protection interventions cannot be slashed. Yeah. And what we've done is actually right now we're carrying out a number of engagements to ensure that the public knows what is happening, so that they do not wake up in June when they're reading the budget and then they're like, there's no money for SAGE. No, we're starting now. And like you rightly say, the process is still ongoing. I know the Budget Committee submitted its report yesterday, but we are still engaging them to make sure that they realize some of these critical gaps that are in this budget. If you're going to tell us you're giving us a pro-people budget, then we should see it in the allocations. It's not about you saying, but we should see it in the allocations. And one of the critical areas that affect people is social protection. Because you're looking at what I think decision makers need to understand is, for social protection, it is an enabler. It helps you achieve all the other your development goals, because here you're involving people, you're empowering your people to participate in the economy. Yeah, but if you're going to start leaving people behind, the vulnerable behind, you're leaving people with persons with disabilities behind, then definitely there's nothing you're going to achieve.
Did you say this decision seems or sounds like sending them to their grave early? Did you say that?
Definitely. Like I told you, a lot of people live on hope. And for many of them, because like I've already indicated, these people use this money, the things they use this money for food, getting a border person to take them to the next health facility. So if they cannot go and pick their medicine, for example, what is going to happen? Yeah. If they cannot actually hire out their land so that they can be able to get food in the next season, what is going to happen?
So generally, as we wind up, how can you now define the social protection system in this country?
Struggling. I think if you ask me for one word, I think it's still struggling. Yeah, it is struggling. The will is there. Yeah, the will is there. And for me, I want to appreciate members of parliament because they have actually been vocal about these things. The will is there. But the issue is usually what gets passed in parliament and what eventually gets to become the eventual budget that we see at the end of the day. And also there's the issues of releases. So the Minister of Finance, when it comes to releases, they're going, so that's why we're struggling with arrears. The money was appropriated in the budget, but when it comes to releases, it's a challenge.
Maybe you need to speak to that elderly person who is watching and hoping for things to get better.
Well, I think older persons out there, I know this could be asking for too much, but they need to get their member of parliament and put them on pressure. These are your leaders. They appropriate the budget. They make sure that the money is supposed to be spent for your benefit. So you should make sure that they ensure that your money, the 25,000, is in the budget for the next financial year. Otherwise, you're going to wait, and there'll be no money for you. So rise up and fight for your money.
All right. She is Gloria Nakajubi, and Gloria is the manager, advocacy and communication manager at Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection. We can only plead and ask the policymakers to look into this matter once again and ensure that this does not go this particular way.